And all, and welcome to another edition of the Dinner Club. And as you can see, this is not a jamboree. We're doing another one-on-one interview tonight. My friend Sue, Angelwriter, how are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on here.
I'm more than pleased to see you back. It's been quite a while, you know.
Indeed.
I'm going to take it that you're just too busy to do the jamborees lately. Is that a fair
it's
assessment?
it's it's been a combination of being too busy and then within the last month a lot of life stuff has happened.
Yeah. Well, we'll get
Yeah.
to that, I'm sure.
Okay.
Um, but we're gonna do this sort of like autobiography style and go back to
Okay.
the beginning and work our way towards the present
Okay.
because I think that makes more narrative sense anyway.
Sure.
But we might jump around back and forth. You know, there is no format, there's no plan, as will become obvious as we go along. All right, so first of all, and I do apologize that some of these questions are fairly banal, but that's kind of the whole point, you know,
Mhm.
just little facts about each other that we don't
Sure.
necessarily know. And just to be able to later on, at the last Jamboree on Saturday, Michael came up with the idea that we could, someone in quotation marks, could edit the video. So like I could ask a question and then edit everyone's answers together all in a row. So, you know,
Ooh, that would actually be kind of cool.
it would be it would make a pretty long video though.
Yeah, it would be
You
a
know,
lot of
you
work.
put it one
True.
video per
True.
question. But the thing is, you know, I don't have the patience or the time to do that kind of editing. So
Yeah.
we kind of drafted Kazoom, and I think Kazoom's gonna do it, maybe possibly, but we'll see.
Okay.
Anyway, right on with the show. So Sue, where were you born, and who was president when you were born?
Okay, so I've been born in Michigan, and I was born in 1978, so that would be the Jimmy Carter
Carter.
era. Yep,
Yeah.
it'd be Carter.
Okay, fine. So you're late Generation X then.
See, that's the thing, because every time you see the generation thing, they say, "Oh, you're part Generation Y," or "You're somewhere in the middle." I mean, every source is different, but yeah, it's definitely Gen X for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, if you're born before 1980 and after 1960, you're Generation X, and that's it. There's no room, from my point of view,
Right.
you know. But I mean, I'm biased because I'm Gen X myself, of course. Anyway,
There you go.
so and obviously you live in Michigan now. So is it fair for me to assume that you've stayed in Michigan your whole life?
Nope. I've spent some time in South Korea, which was the early 2000s.
Right.
I was there for several years. I was there during when how I equate the memory. I was there during World Cup 2002, which was hella fun. It's a great memory. I mean, I didn't even go to the stadiums. I was just going around with some of my friends to different each home game, Korean home game. It was a different place. The one time it was Korea versus the U.S. and we were actually at my because I worked for Berlitz at the time, and we were actually watching the game together with Korea versus America. So it was kind of hard. Which team do we cheer for? We want to cheer for both of them because you're American, but you're in Korea.
Right,
So I
right.
mean, but that was a great memory. There's a lot of friends I still keep in touch with to this day. And this flag, you probably noticed this, and my students noticed this too. This was actually a souvenir. And the story
Oh,
behind that is I was walking the street with one of my friends, like after a victory, and somebody saw because I wore the Red Devil shirt. That's the Korean mascot is the Red Devil. They saw me wear the shirt and they said, "Here, this is for you," and they just like handed me the flag like for nothing because they saw me
how
wear the shirt.
nice.
Oh, it was the coolest thing. I had a lot of things like that. Someone else gave me a flag from somewhere too that I ended up losing, but that was just the coolest thing. Or you're cheering and it's after a game. They see you wearing the red shirt. They're cheering. You're cheering along with you as you're going down the subway after a game or something.
Well, you
I
must have
mean,
a
it's
very
endless.
approachable demeanor because
Yes.
people don't do that to just anyone, right?
No, they don't. They don't. And because it was the World Cup and because, it was one of the first international events of its one of the for a while because they had the Olympics back in 84. But this was one that they hadn't had in a while. So they were really changing things. They made the signs, they made everything English friendly. But I think because of that, that really sparked more interest and it really sparked something because so many people said, this was really cool. This was a lot of fun. They got something out of it. And then I know years later when the Pyongyang Olympics came about and they had the athletes go there, saying I heard from all the reporters and everybody who was there, they were just impressed on the hospitality because Koreans know hospitality. They know how to treat you well. They know how to be welcoming. And
Right.
then once you get to know them, once you get to know their culture, it's like you become like family. It's like your friends for life, really.
Well, that's fantastic. I've heard very good things about East Asia in general in terms of the hospitality. You know, but for that matter, I mean, I actually quite like American hospitality too. If you travel around
Sure,
America and people know that
sure.
you're just passing through and you don't intend to stay, they can be pretty pretty amenable.
That's true, especially down south. Down south, I find that they have that, the old Southern hospitality is where you
I've heard that,
really
but I've
feel
never
that.
been down south, so I can't
Oh,
really
it's
speak
worth
to
going
it.
because I've traveled around like the Eastern Coast. One place my family and I used to go a lot for many, many years has been down to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. That's a really, really nice place to go to. It's nicer than going to Daytona. It's a lot quieter. It's touristy, but it's not as nuts as like a Daytona or Tampa or something like that in Florida. So,
Well, I mean, but when you were a kid, did you move around a lot?
not really.
No, so you
Not
mostly
really.
stayed in Michigan for most of the time. You split to Asia. Was that part of your education or post education?
That was actually post education. So the story behind that's kind of interesting too. See, for my undergrad, I graduated with a bachelor's in Japanese studies. And my intent was to go to Japan and teach, I discovered through the interview process, through one or two companies, they were very particular and picky as to the kind of teacher they wanted, like very particular. And so the summer I graduated, which is 2000, we were looking them around, and it happened to be my mom who said, "Hey, why don't we check out Korea? They have openings there," because she was kind of helping me out with this. And I was starting to get hits. And they had a demand then, they still have a demand now for English teachers. And so I decided, why not take a chance? And within a couple months, I was on my way. And that's how that worked. And so South Korea, for a lot of people, and I discovered this, it becomes sort of like that plan B or that second choice, the backup plan, that an accidental backup plan sometimes. Um, and I knew nothing when I went there. I knew nothing about the language, nothing about the culture. It took me at least a month to kind of like get over the culture shock and just get acclimated that living this new lifestyle. But then once I got over that month and once I got over that hump, I went for it. I had fun.
Well, that's great. Traveling is something, especially overseas traveling, is something that I was just talking to Zonstar about this yesterday. Fewer than 10% of Americans have passports, which means that
Mm,
90% of Americans never go outside the continental United States, right?
sure, sure.
And and a lot of Americans who go abroad only go, locally abroad, like to Canada or maybe to the
Hmm.
Caribbean or Mexico or whatever, Cancun,
Sure,
that
sure,
kind of
sure.
thing. So people who've gone to Europe or Asia are probably like maybe 5% of Americans, maybe. And it
I
really
actually
opens up
believe
your
that.
mind when you travel that much further afield. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I definitely believe that. And I tell people one of my things since I've experienced it is I believe that you have to go outside the country. You have to live outside the country at least once in your lifetime because once you do, you really have and what happened with me is you really learn about yourself. It's a self-discovery. You learn about the things that are really you, you learn about the things that are not really you, and you also see how people see your point of view and where you come from their side and some of
Sure.
their
I lived abroad for
misconceptions.
31 years. I totally understand you.
Yeah, see? And it doesn't matter how long you lived if you've lived in another country. So I encourage do it at least once. Have
Hmm.
that experience. It doesn't matter what country, but do it at least once. I mean, you're not gonna regret it, and you're gonna learn a lot because when you come back from living overseas, and I know if you've experienced this, you have a totally different mindset.
Well, yeah. The other side of that, I mean, when you, I personally think that even almost wouldn't matter if you spend any significant amount of time overseas, you're going to come back slightly more sophisticated, even if you think it was shit over there. You know what I
That's
mean?
true. Yes, that's true.
Just because like you've seen, I mean, other people from other cultures literally have a different way of framing their thoughts and everything, and so
Yes.
everything that we take for granted in terms of the way we think isn't how everyone thinks. And so you see how other people arrange their thoughts and the way that they do logic, and it really broadens your own ability to do logic and sort of, for me, it helps me be a more tolerant and accepting person as well.
Yeah, well,
you
that's the
know?
same with me too. But the thing that pissed me off when I was there was I would hear some of my fellow teachers complain, "Well, how come they're not like this, not like that?" It's like, if you don't like, it's not your home. If you want it to be like your home, why don't you just go home? And that drove me, it drove me nuts. And as soon as I heard them bitching about it, I'm like, okay, I'm gone. I'm not listening to that anymore. It's like, no, no way. I could not stand that. And that's one of the reasons why I actually connected with some people where I was joining international clubs, and I got connected to other groups, and I went outside the whole teacher bubble because you're with coworkers all the time. It's like, I don't want to be with my coworkers all the time. I want to be with other people. I like, because
Sure.
I know a variety of people. That's just my nature. That's just me. I know people from all different kinds of walks of life. You name it, I probably know somebody from there.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Listen, we kind of skipped ahead a little bit, so I'm gonna dial it back.
Okay.
So when you were growing up, right?
Yeah.
What kind of kid were you in school? Were you shy? Were you sporty? Were you academic? Were you what?
I was the shy, nerdy one that got bullied, especially in elementary school.
You were the
The
shy, nerdy one that what? That got
got
bullied.
that got bullied. Yeah, I got bullied probably starting probably the bullied started about 2nd grade, and then it went through maybe through middle school. And
Wow.
then I went to I went through high school. See, I did the whole public school thing first, and then I went to Catholic school for a while. And it was different. I met some friends, but I've always been kind of the outsider anyway, so I didn't exactly fit in.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
And
almost all the contributors in the Breakfast Club kind of were outsiders at, at some point in their life. You know what I
right,
mean?
right, 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 right,
It's one
right.
thing we all have in common. Or the
Yeah.
dinner club now, I should say. I'm gonna have to get. I'm just gonna have to get that drilled into my head.
You gotta change your brain.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. And yeah. Did you have a favorite teacher in school?
I did. I had depending on what year, one of my favorites, and she was the one that really helped me get my self-confidence, was a teacher in 4th grade by the name of Miss Smith. She actually had roots in Canada, and she saw how, because that's when I got it the worst, was 4th grade. And so she told my mom, she says, she recommended that I take self-defense classes. So for about 6 months, my mom knew it was like a third cousin in her family had a dojo. And so I just took some basic self-defense courses, and that kind of helped me a little bit gain a little bit of that
Hmm.
bravery, and eventually it did come out, which I scared him. I scared the shit out of him, which I don't. I'm glad I did that. And then over time, it just sort of I've started learning the defenses, because I was at a low point in 4th grade where when I got picked on, it was bad. I mean, it was
Was
really
it like
bad.
physical abuse or taunting or
Taunting,
obviously?
lots of taunting, lots of, because I wasn't like everybody else type of thing. It's like, well, why are you wearing that stuff? Or can I borrow stuff? And then I get something broken back after they borrow it. I mean, just a bunch of stuff like that. But
That's weird.
definitely the taunting. And especially if it's from other girls, that's where I got it from. And girls are vicious. They're very vicious when they want
Well, that's certainly not news. I mean,
to
you know,
be.
it's
True.
there's I mean, it is different amongst the two sexes when it comes to how they're vicious towards their own. And
Yep.
I kind of it looks from the outside harder to be a gal than it does to be a guy, but that's just how it looks. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, there is, because you
Mhm.
have because you have two kinds of competition. You have that explicit kind, and then you have the underlying implicit kind, the one that's not said, but it's there.
Right,
The
right, right.
subtleties. I mean, there are some that I've encountered, even personally, where it's like, yeah, the subtleties that are there. They'll say it a certain way or in a certain tone of voice, and you're like, okay, I got your number. I know where you're coming from. But you have to
Sure.
kind of catch it, though.
So this teacher, Miss Smith, why was she your favorite teacher?
Because she was the one that really cared about me. She was funny. Um, we had a time we used to you remember the old Judy Blume books, like Tales of a 4th Grade Nothing and Super Fudge and some of those. She would read those books, and she would actually do the voices of the characters from those
Oh,
books,
right,
which is
right, right,
I mean, she made everything entertaining. She
right.
was a very entertaining teacher. When we had math class, she made that entertaining. I mean, she had the old overhead projectors that we had to write on, and then
Transparencies, yeah.
yeah, but she had the one you rolled it, so every time it was a different
Right,
topic. But
right,
then
yeah,
at
yeah.
but then towards the end of school, you had to clean it too. So there was like designated people, but she
That's
just made
right.
it
Yeah, I
fun.
remember that.
Yeah, but
That's just that you're showing your age there. Yeah.
I know. I don't care. I don't care. But no, she just made everything entertaining and a lot of
Right.
fun.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. What was the first car you ever got for yourself?
I didn't really have my own car. I always drove my parents' car.
Right. What was the first one then?
It was my mom's red Pontiac Grand Am that ended up having a lot of problems.
All right. Wow. And so was Grand Am. I guess that sounds like an 80s car to me. I don't know.
80s, 90s ish, basically.
Right. Okay. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. See, I think it's interesting because a lot of people don't really have a choice about the first car, and they drive whatever their parents were driving that their parents,
Hmm.
wanted to shuffle off on them so they could have an excuse to get a better car.
Right.
You know, anyway, this one you might have to think about a minute, or it might be like that. I don't really know. But how old were you the first time you definitely knew you were in love?
Ooh, that's a good question because I never really dated in high school. I had crushes, but I never really dated probably until university time. But even then, I didn't really date that much either. So I'd have to say I was a late bloomer, really. I'd have to
Hmm.
say early, late 20s
Oh
ish,
yeah,
thereabouts. Because like I said,
yeah.
I never really dated that much in high school. I mean, I did dates and go to homecoming because I thought that's like experience, or go to prom because that's an experience. But
Yeah, right.
nah,
Yeah,
because I just did it to do it, and then you do it, and then you go, now I know why people don't do it.
sure, sure. But I mean, the first person that you were ever in love with, are you still acquainted with them now?
Kind of, sort of, yeah. We still
Kind of,
talk.
sort of. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I think over time, you just don't like really talk to them or something, or you have a connection to them. That's
sure.
mostly it.
Right. And is that me just like is it just like on Facebook or something
I'd
like
say
that?
social media wise, yeah, I'd
Right,
say
right,
so.
right. Yeah, yeah. That's both cool and unfortunate if that's the only sort of thing. But at the same time, the dynamics of social media are really complicated sometimes, right? Because
Oh
get
yeah.
a friend request from someone that you don't really know very well, but then again, you don't want to hurt their feelings, and there's all that kind of bullshit that goes into it, which is just
Oh
I find
yeah.
tedious, and I'm more merciless than I am kind when it comes to
Oh,
accepting a message
well,
like that.
I'll tell you what, over the years, one of the things you learn how to do, and I've had to do this, you learn how to kind of like, once you get screwed over once, you know how to what to look for, the signs
Mhm.
to look for.
Right, right.
If it's somebody that you don't know, it's like, okay, who are they connected to and how do I know them? I mean, I do all that's the researcher mind that kicks in me. Because I want to make sure to verify before I jump in, because the ones who jump in are the ones that tend to get screwed anyway. And I'm not like that. I learned not to be like that.
Yeah, good for you. So, are you in a relationship at the moment?
Yes, I am.
And how long you been in that relationship?
Well, we've never got married, but we've been together for at least 12 years. And now here's the cool part of this one. We officially declared it on New Year's Eve. You know how everybody did the whole marriage proposals? Well, we decided to do a play on that one time. And we were remember the old blogtv.com days? Well,
Yeah.
we were in but that's actually where we met, was through Blog T one of the chat rooms in blogtv.com, as a matter
No
of
way.
fact.
No way.
Yes, 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 yes. And
Wow.
so in the one chat room, actually the chat room we were in was through a friend of ours who's a DJ at a nightclub in Virginia Beach, called the Rainbow Cactus. That's where we met, in the nightclub. And because he used to DJ, he used to show the drag shows and all that stuff. And he and basically we decided on that New Year's, we're hanging out. I was like, well, let's just declare, let's have some fun with this. And that's what we did. And that's sort of how it happened. And it was kind of long distance at first, because it was like a 2-hour distance, which wasn't too bad. So we had the first meeting, and then we would just meet like every other year and just kept going on and on. And then eventually they came down here. I was still with my parents at the time, hung out, wanted to kind of grow and expand, get a job here, kind of make something of themselves. And we've been now and been in an apartment together for about a couple years now.
Yeah, that's super, super cool. Yeah.
Hmm.
So this is the same partner you had when I met you like 11 years ago. That's
Yep,
really cool. That's
that's
super
right.
cool.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and that's one of those stories. That's one of those unique stories. And people say, "Oh, relationship, online stuff." If you make it work and you keep the communication going, which is key, I think, to any relationship, you're
Hmm.
good as gold.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, no relationship is any better than the participants, right? And so,
True, true.
you know, um, yeah, that's one thing though. Wow, 12 years, that's really cool. And do you talk marriage, or is that something you don't care about?
It's on and enough, but it's gotten to the point where it's like, if we do, we do. We don't, we don't. It's other people in the family who do that whole, well, when are you going to get married now that you're together? And then, you have the old, okay, if it's going to get married, they're going to do that. Well, when are you going to have kids and all that stuff? And it's like, I don't want to deal with that bull crap if I don't have, I mean, hey, I'm happy where I'm at right now. So it's like, I don't like to be nagged or pushed if I don't need to be nagged or pushed,
Well, I'm not nagging or pushing, but I'm just asking as a friend. Do
Yeah,
you ever
I know. Well, you
think,
don't. I know what you
do
mean.
you ever
Yeah.
think, do you ever think you might want to reproduce, copulate, spawn?
If we're to do anything, probably be more of an adoption thing.
Oh yeah.
I would think. I think it would be more of an adoption thing down the line. But it's not something that we've talked and we've thought about it. But it hasn't really been on. It's been on our radar, but it's been kind of on and off.
Yeah,
Really.
see, I don't know, because in my opinion, if someone's not sure if they want to be a parent, they shouldn't be a parent.
I agree. I totally agree. I totally agree with that one. I'm with you there.
Yeah, it's something that even the most dedicated people who know for sure that's what they want to do aren't prepared for when it first happens. I mean, I don't care how prepared someone thinks they are before they've had their first kid. They're not ready. You're just
no,
ready.
and I've seen it. I've seen it myself, and I'm like,
have you got siblings?
No, I'm an only child.
You're an only child, right? So you don't have any nephews or nieces or any of that. No.
No, but I have a lot of younger cousins, and I'm close to a few of my cousins, and yeah, I've even seen it with friends that I've known, and I'm going, especially when the kids are like the pain in the asses, and then you go, yeah, there's a reason why. Nah.
All right, now you can take this question any way you want it.
Okay.
And what's the worst thing you've ever done for money?
Worst thing I've ever done for money? Ooh, boy, I don't know. Now that's a good question. The worst thing I've ever done for money. Ooh, I'm gonna have to think. I don't know. Nothing comes to mind with that one at all. I've had bad jobs to make money, but as far as the worst thing,
it could mean that if that's the worst thing you've done for money, you know what I mean?
Okay, that's a way. Okay, to expand it. Well,
you felt exploited or just like a kind of job that you're almost embarrassed to admit you had, that kind of thing,
Okay, I got two instances of some baddies, but it was more management level. I was having issues with. So my first ever job when I was in university, it was actually university. That's when I first worked too. Like I said, late bloomer and a lot of stuff. It was working at the front desk of the dormitory that I was living at. And it started okay until like every time and every week, it's like, okay, you can't let this person in because of this. You couldn't it was like you had to be like another extra security guard. And you couldn't talk to many people. You had to keep your eye on it. And it just got to the point where it's like, I felt like I couldn't be myself. I couldn't, it's like, well, you mean I'm not supposed to be friendly and talk with people? And she was demanding. She was really demanding. And it got to the point, there was an incident that happened between some friends who I kind of, long story short, I was helping them out. And it was a group of people that kind of became two fractions and they were fighting each other. And I got caught up in the middle. It happened during my shift the one time, and I was just about to finish. And then after that, I'm like, okay, that's it. I'm not going through that anymore. So I quit probably within my second year or so, and got out of that because it was just it was too much. I couldn't handle it. I just didn't like how things were going with it,
Right.
And then another one I can think of, and it didn't last long. Maybe it's for 6 months now. I've been doing this teaching job for a while, and I like to have the supplementary income. So in between one of those times, I was working through a big well-known name magazine, and pay was great, but dealing with said person, she was one of those, she said she had all these great ideas, but she never put anything in writing. And then when I would send something to her, she said, "Oh, you did this the wrong way, or you didn't send this the right way," when I actually did. So she probably had like everything was structured for paragraphs, for journalism, for an article. And she says, "No, don't turn into one paragraph." And I'm thinking, are you sure it's not because you have the bad program and not me? But she put it on me. And her and I tussled. Oh, we tussled. I mean, we got to that point. Oh, it got bad. We tussled a couple times. And then
I can't picture you in a cat fight. I just can't picture it.
the way I work is this, and I'll tell you how I tick. I can only tolerate so much, and I have a high toleration point. But as soon as you poke the bear, you can only poke the bear so much, and then the bear's gonna growl.
Yeah.
And that's how I am. And it got to the point where it's like I literally had to sacrifice my time for her because she was not exactly organized. She made
Right.
out, oh, I'm going to sell this, or I'm going to do this, and it's like, no, you're not. You're talking a big game, but you're not. And she started to lose people, right? So when the opportunity came to do some editing and proofreading for the job I do now with some teaching materials, I'm like, bye, see ya. I don't have time for you anymore. Bye. And it was a contract job anyway. So I was gone. I was
Yeah.
gone.
Fair enough. So we met around 2009 or 2010 on, I'm pretty sure on YouTube and not Blog TV. But I can't remember if you and I became acquainted through the atheist community or if it was LGBT activism.
I think it was the atheist community because
Right.
I was hanging out in a lot of the blogtv.com days, especially blogtv.com days, because that's where I first met. That's where I first met Raven, Joe. I interacted with a lot. Actually, how I found out about Blog TV was actually through some of the channels on YouTube. I
Right,
kept hearing
okay.
about this Blog TV, and I'm going, well, what is this thing? And so I started joining. I hung out with several communities, and then all of a sudden, you guys popped in. I'm like, I know these people. I watch your videos. I can hang out with you now. How cool is that? And that's
Yeah.
really where the connection started with everybody.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's unfortunate that the jamborees and stuff don't get the same kind of audience flow through that those blog TVs used to get. Because I mean, I used to have a small channel.
I remember that.
My channel is still as small as it ever was.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, if I had a blog TV session for 3.5 hours or 4 hours or whatever, somewhere between 150 and 300 people would go through the room in the night. You know,
I remember,
that's
and
a
I remember
huge
that.
party. That's a
Oh
massive
yeah.
party. You know what I
Oh
mean? And the
yeah.
beauty of blog TV is you can throw this massive party and then there's no mess and you can kick people out whenever the fuck you want. It's brilliant.
Oh yeah, and I mean that's where I got found out and got connected to the Madness, Mayhem, and Charity stuff, and that's where I really got a chance to really interact and get to know a lot of people through that. So I think it was really Blog TV that kind of was the starting point, personally.
Well, yeah, and I miss those days, but I also don't because the jamborees kind of take that for me now. I've got like a do them
Yeah.
So you know, whatever. Anyway, what the worst thing you do for me? Okay, now the flip side of that, Sue. And what's the best job you've ever had?
The best job I've ever had.
Either best in personal fulfillment, or if you consider the best, the most money you made, whatever you call the best.
Okay, there's a couple. I think the job I'm doing now, because I've been with it for 8 years, and so I'm an online English as a second language teacher through a company that's had a couple name changes, but it's now called Carrot Solutions. And so I have like an early morning shift, which is great because then I have the rest of the day to myself to do what I need to do or want to do.
Right.
And I teach students of all ages. Mostly I have a lot of like middle school and high school students right now, which is great. And for the last couple of years, I've been doing some materials development. Like we get like these magazines, and we basically do like PowerPoint presentations that the other teachers can use. So not only am I writing those, I'm also testing them out, which is really a lot of fun. And through this whole pandemic, that's been the stable things. Now, I was looking around at other places, but I discovered, even from talking from friends who work through places in China and other countries, that this is the most stable because you got a schedule, you got a study schedule, you can pick up hours, you can work whenever. So I was doing Monday through Friday for a while. Now I'm doing Saturday just to get the little extra, which I don't mind. Because
the pandemic didn't stop you earning, did it?
Oh no, I kept going. I kept working because it was
Okay.
at home. And I kind of, at the time I did it, people thought it was kind of weird. Like, what, you're working from home? So I kind of did the thing before it became the thing, basically.
Right.
Well,
I'm glad you're getting fulfillment out of that, though. I mean,
right.
And
I do. I mean, what's great is, since I've lived in Korea, and I also have a master's in Korean studies too. So with my background and also having certification, with all that combined, that's helped me connect with my students. And so this gives me a chance, if I wanted to practice a little Korean or update something or talk about cultural things or whatever the case may be, that's where I can bond with them. And
how many students do you have?
It depends on the day. And they're mostly one-on-one students, basically. So I range from maybe a slow day would maybe be about 12 students, and maybe a busy day would be about like 18 to 20, depending. It depends on the season too. Summer season is probably my busiest, but
Right.
what's happened with the pandemic though, because everybody's had to stay inside, we've picked up a lot of people that way too.
Right. Okay. Well, so it's similar, I guess, to Michael. I mean, the pandemic actually made his working situation a little bit easier. Took
Hmm.
some of the hassle out of it.
Oh yeah. It
Yeah.
did.
All right. So you might have to think about this question. It is a little bit on the personal side. So, don't be offended because everybody gets asked this question. But what's
Yeah.
the worst lie that you've ever told someone?
Ooh, wow, the worst lie I ever told someone? Ooh, yeah, I'd have to think about that one a little
Okay, well,
bit.
dwell on it for a minute while I expound, because the thing is, I mean, like, most of us, most of the time, are mostly honest most of the time,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
And I think most people who are mostly decent are mostly honest most of the time. But if you can show me a totally honest person, I'll hand you a mirror and show you someone's really gullible, right?
That's
Because
true.
there's because there's no such thing as a totally honest person, right? So
True.
this is why there's no shame in saying, "Hey, I told you know." And most of us do our worst lying when we're young. So give it some
Yeah.
thought. Right? Give it some thought. It doesn't have to be what you said yesterday, right?
Yeah, yeah. See, that's I'd have to think on that one. The worst lie I ever told. Oh,
Think about it for a
boy.
second. I'm just going to go put my wet laundry into the dryer, and I'll be right back.
Okay. Hmm. Oh, that's a good question. It's like now I feel like I have to have Jeopardy music playing that do 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 do. And hello, everybody. It's nice to see you.
Still got suds in it. It's uneven. I'm still on my show, so I'll work it out later. Hi, sorry.
Hmm. Well, I don't know if it's been the worst. I think I've told more white lies than like the worst lies
I'm
that
sure
I could
that's true
think
for
of.
most of us. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been more of the small white lies type of person. I mean, unless it was done to protect someone, maybe I would. But I think it's more the small white lies. I've done a combination of those. Like probably one of the first ones I could think of that I got in trouble for when I was a kid. This was back in third grade, and my classmates told on me that I wrote a bad word in a folder. And I'm like, no, I didn't. Then my parents were like, oh yeah, well, what's this? And I'm like, yep, that's in my writing. Okay. So I remember one of my first lies. I remember that. But as far as the worst ones, oof,
Yeah.
that one I'd have to rack my brain on. I think it's been more like white lies or things to say to be more protective of people, I would say.
All right. Well, Vegas there in the comment section has this question, which is a variation. What's the best lie you've ever told?
The best lie ever. Oh
The
dear.
best lie you've ever told would be the worst lie you've ever told, but you got away with it, right?
Oh boy. Yeah. Oh boy. That's a good question too. The best lie I ever told that oh gosh, I'd have to think. I'd have to think on that one too. But nothing comes to mind there either. But those are good. Those are good.
I suppose, I'm actually believing this. You're coming across as credible. You're not going, gosh, I just can't think of any. No, I get it. You're basically a decent person, and therefore you'd have to really, really, really introspect.
I'd have to. Yes, I would. You're absolutely right.
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah,
would. I
yeah.
would.
Well, okay, okay. I'm going to take that from you, Sue.
Okay.
I'll believe that
Okay.
this time.
This time. Uh-oh.
All right. Anyway, so what do you reckon is your proudest achievement?
My proudest achievement. Ooh, these sound like job interview questions, you know?
Well, we did
Um,
talk a little bit about that, didn't we? Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I think probably my proudest okay, I actually have one. So I've been involved with this women's organization, Business and Professional Women, for a long time, and I actually grew up in it. My aunt was very, very active in it. She traveled, she was the world traveler. She traveled around the states too. And so she introduced it to me when I was a young age when my mom and myself went to North Carolina. That's how we found out about Myrtle Beach, and my mom fell in love with Myrtle Beach. And so I was kind of connected to it on and off. And it wasn't until I got back from Korea that I really became involved in the organization. And I had a lot of mentors. My aunt was one of them. I had an older lady, a friend of ours. She became a mentor over time. And then one day I was at one of our state meetings and somebody said, you should probably be like secretary. Like they kind of nudged me and suggested. And I was like, okay, to be on the executive committee. Well, eventually I became president of the Michigan organization for 2 years, like a state thing. Never thought I would. I didn't even expect that. But I'll tell you what, I'm glad I went through that because I learned a lot of things, not only about management, but leadership. And now when I'm around situations where there are management or leadership situations, I can pick out what's good or not in an instant. I can tell what works if they're good leaders, and I can tell if they're shit. I really can see that. Doesn't matter where I go, whether it's like in a meeting situation, if it's like at a restaurant or something. And
Right.
I've also and with the current manager I have now through my workplace, we connected well because it's like going through my experience, I can now, it was clicking like, oh, I see what she's going through with the other teachers and myself. And it's like everything was like sort of adding up. And that's just how my mind works. I kind of like to connect things. And then once I connect to something, it's like, okay, I got it. And that's how and because at first my current manager and we clashed a little bit too, because she couldn't understand where I was coming from. Because I'm the type is once you get to know me, you kind of get me. But if you don't know me, I'm hard to understand. And so I was like that with her. But then once she saw what I was capable of, once she saw I could do, and she's been very good as far as giving me constructive criticism, which I can take better than nagging and all that stuff. And then once I saw it through her eyes being in that position, I'll tell you what, I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I was able to do it. I actually had attracted people because I was literally just bringing everything back to, okay, things are falling apart here. Let's put this all together. Let's let's come back to where it all started and why it all started. And that's kind of like how that happened. So I'd say that. And it was great. It's a great experience. I don't know if I'd do it again, but it's worth doing at least one time.
Well, yeah, I like your attitude because a lot of things are worth doing at least one time. You know what I mean? You don't have
Yeah,
to change everything about yourself to try new things. I should try new things more often. It's one of the things I beat myself up about because I'm a creature of comfort and habit.
sure.
And when I find something I like, I don't tend to vary myself away from it too much. But how much am I denying myself by always just falling on back what's familiar and
Right,
comfortable?
right,
You know what I
right,
mean?
right, right.
Yeah, it's one of those things. So let's just say that you win the lottery, but it's not money that you've just won. Okay,
Mhm,
you've just won the job of your dreams, right? You could do
mhm.
anything you want and be well paid for it and get like all the benefits and everything. What would you be doing if you didn't have to change your education status or anything else about your life, but you could just like literally walk into this dream job? What would your dream job be?
Okay, this connects this to something I'm doing now as my hobby and what's been keeping me busy. It would be something related to music and something in music. So, one of my hobby things, and you notice the sign back here? I could talk about this. So there's a radio station, online radio station called NK Airplay Radio, and it's basically a New Kids on the Block fan based station. It's been on and off for a couple years. And I got into it because I thought it was a cool idea because I hadn't been doing live shows. I was doing live shows for like Vape TV, Vape Net, and Block TV stuff, and I hadn't done it for a while. So I thought, and I heard about this, and I thought, well, why not something different? Well, I've been with the station for about a year. I love the idea of putting playlists together and
Mm.
just being the DJ. I have not one. I started with one show. Now I got two shows that I do now, and just the idea of putting playlists together, putting themes, and just kind of painting like a story or telling a story with music.
Oh, you're
I've
totally
always done
talking to me. That's exactly how I feel about making playlists. I was a DJ for the first 15 years of my professional life. And
ah,
yeah, and making playlists it's an art form in my
it is.
opinion.
It really
And
is. It
yeah,
really is. It
of
really
course,
is.
it's not really my art, it's their art, and I'm just arranging it in a pretty way. It's
Yeah.
like being
Yep.
able to make it's like being able to make a nice bouquet. They're not the flowers aren't you, but you're making it nice,
Yeah,
that
no,
kind of
I get what you I know I get exactly where you're coming from. And I actually took during the pandemic, I took this music fundamentals workshop where I learned about the rhythms and beats and everything. And it was so cool to learn that because that's actually helped me being a DJ and putting the playlist together because I could formulate beats and what goes with what now
thing.
or what sets go with what. And it's so much I love that process. I
Yeah,
love that planning
it's
process. It's just I don't know how to describe it. It's
it's
just
like
so
painting
cool.
without making a mess.
I like that. I absolutely like that. You're right. You're
Yeah,
right.
yeah. It's Vegas has got a word for it. Art adjacent.
Ooh, that's good too.
Yeah, I
That's
like
really
that.
good.
I like that. So, okay, so let's pretend that I'm a genie and I
Uh-huh.
can grant you 3 wishes. You get 3 wishes, but one of them cannot be for you.
Ooh,
Go.
okay. 3 wishes. Oh, probably the first wish is to, I would say, wish health and happiness for others, especially my family. That's one of them because I've had a
Well,
couple such
as the genie, I have to say that's a bit vague. Can you
okay. Okay.
others like as in all 7.5 billion of us, or others as in
I would say
community, nation,
especially
whatever. I mean,
okay, I definitely would say with family, specifically with my mom who's been really sick recently. That'd be
mm,
one. I think my second wish. Oh, I can't do it for myself. Ooh, see, that makes it more difficult. Let's see. A second wish that I would have. Mm, that's hard.
well, I'll dance while you're doing it. Just to keep the audience entertained.
um, hmm. I have to rack my brain.
This
Another
is
one
all
where I
free,
have.
folks. Yeah, carry on.
Yeah. Let's see. A second wish that I would wish for other. It would have to be for others. Hmm. Well, probably another wish would be, I would say, on a grander scale. Well, definitely upset with the current times for the pandemic to get rid of the pandemic. I'm done with it. You
Out
know.
of here. No pandemic. I
Yes,
like it. I like it.
I'm
And
as
that's the
someone
one for you, or is that one for others?
that's for others.
I like it. I
That's
like it a lot. I'm
Well,
surprised no
because
one
well,
thought of that
well,
yourself.
because the reason why I say that is I've actually recovered from it and with a mild form of it. So that's why I say since going through it, nah, yeah.
Mhm.
When you go through it yourself, it's like, yeah, you don't wish it on anybody, no matter if it's mild or not. So I'd say that would be another one with the
Right.
pandemic. And probably a third one. For other people. Hmm. That's a tough one too, you know. I'd like for other people to just want other people to stop the whole work the whole canceling each other out because we don't I'm getting sick of this whole we're canceling each other out because we don't disagree thing. Not quite a cancel culture thing, but I'm just like I want
You
what
want to
happens.
cancel culture, basically.
Yes, there you go. Cancel culture. Because I'm sick of people not wanting to talk to others because you have a small disagreement, even a minuscule disagreement with them. I mean, it's worse than drama, online drama, or the old blog, the old chat room dramas or things like that.
Well, I've never met a single person that I like every single thing about, and I'm pretty sure no one likes every single thing about me. So
Right.
we have to be able to take people on an aggregate. I like most things about this person, as long as the aggregate is high enough percentage that we can live with. If it's 55%, that might not be enough for some people, but some people that
Mhm.
might be enough for. Some
Right.
people might say I have to agree with someone, or at least be on the same vibe as someone, like 80% or whatever. It's hard to put a number on stuff like that,
True.
but
Yeah.
yeah. um okay, well, those were interesting wishes anyway. Thank you.
Yeah,
it's
I mean, I'm trying to think of some. I'm trying to think of a simple thing because that can go in any direction too.
anyway, right. So let's pretend you have a magic wand
Okay.
and you could wave it and
Mm-hmm.
change any one thing about yourself. What would that be?
Change one thing about myself. Ooh. If I had to change anything about myself. Ooh, that's a good one. Probably because one of my bad habits is I have like several bad habits. Probably would be changing one of my bad habits. One of them is I can't put it into words now. This is fun. It won't be till afterwards that I'll be able to formulate it. um, hmm. I would definitely change one of my bad personality habits, maybe.
And which habit would that be?
Not sometimes I tend to get pretty impatient, especially if there's things that I don't know, and I like to know things right away. And if I don't, or I like to have things done away and it doesn't happen, I just, kind of gets to me. So I'd say that.
Just
Change
be a
my
more patient person.
probably more or more what I would say being more patient and maybe more understanding towards the other person because it's something that I want for myself rather than I'm not seeing it from their point of view. Sometimes that happens.
Sure.
So
Right on, right on. And okay, so let's just say again, these are fantasy questions. So
mm-hmm.
this is an exploration about, how you would do certain things. So
Mm-hmm.
if there's a fantasy dinner party that you could throw, and
Okay.
there's gonna be 8 people at the party, you're one of the people at the party. Who are the other
Ooh.
7 guests? It could be anybody from history, past or present, whatever. And language is not a factor.
Oh, okay. That's a good one because I already have a few already at the top of my head. So I'd have John Lennon would be one. I probably would have Prince because I'm a Prince fan. I think that'd be kind of interesting. Um, hmm. I'd have to go for Vincent Van Gogh. I think he'd be a fascinating character. Um, I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of
I'm
Humphrey.
imagining John Lennon and Van Gogh having an argument in the corner. Anyway, carry on.
I just have to say Keanu Reeves because I'm a Keanu Reeves fan. Humphrey Bogart. I'm kind of going the entertainment round here.
Mhm.
3 more. If we're gonna go let's see. I want to add a politician to that mix. I'm trying to figure out who'd be a good politician there. Hmm. Let's put Barack Obama in the mix. I think that'd be kind of interesting.
Okay, so let me get this. Let me make sure I got this right. We got Barack Obama. We've got John Lennon. We've got Prince. We've got
I go eclectic.
no, it's fine. I'm just gonna make sure I got it right. So Lennon, Prince, um, uh,
You got Van Gogh.
Van Gogh. Thank you. That was one.
What are the other ones I had in there?
You just said it. It was. If I could, I'd rewind the video and find it, but I can't do that. John Lennon, Prince, Van Gogh,
Humphrey Bogart.
Humphrey Bogart. That was it. Bogey. Yep.
Yep. Keanu Reeves.
Keanu Reeves, right? Keanu. You don't have to write the Reeves after that one because no one else in the world is called Keanu. It's quite easy.
That's true. That's
He,
very
he doesn't
true.
even need a last name. You know what I mean? He should be
That's
like
true.
Cher or Madonna or Oprah and just drop his last name.
Right.
It's completely pointless. Anyway, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you get 2 more guests.
2 more guests. Oh, let's see here. Let's gotta get some women in there. Ooh. Okay, this would be an interesting one I would add. She was okay, Alice Paul, who was the first person to fight for equal rights, the women's rights. Alice Paul would probably be in there. Probably Susan B. Anthony might be an interesting one in there too. Like want to get some historical figures. Like I said, want to mix it up.
That's cool. Plus, you don't want to be the only gal at the party, man. I mean,
Exactly.
Yeah. Or maybe you do. Ooh.
Oh yeah. Hey, I don't mind hanging out with being one with the only one with one of the guys. I've done that before, so no big deal.
Right. And so let's see here. One of the commenters had a good question, that sort of addendum to this one. If you could go back in time, and again, language not being a factor, I'm going to throw that caveat in there, and you could just transport there without any like boat or plane. You could just like materialize like on Star Trek somewhere back in time. Where would you go? How long ago?
I'd say the Victorian times because I've always been fascinated with that era. Just how it was back then.
You, as a woman, want to go to the Victorian times. Are you kidding?
Well, I want to see
You
what
read
we
any
came
Dickens?
from. Yeah, yes, I have. I've read a lot of Victorian stuff, but I just think it would just be, I think just to see what we was then to what it is now, the whole where we
Sure.
come from type of thing is really what it is with me. But
Yeah.
just like some of the nuance, and I have read about what had happened for Victorian times, and I'm like, wow, it's like, yeah, that no, there are some things where I'm going no, but it's just there's like certain times in points in history that are just fascinating to me just because of the things that happen in that time of history,
Okay, I got another question for you. I asked Bionic Dance this question once, and I'm going to be interviewing Bionic Dance on Wednesday night this week, and I'm quite looking forward to that.
Oh, cool.
But so listen, right? Let's just say you were walking home, and it was relatively secluded, and it happened. They landed right in front of you. Boom, and they said, "Sue, here we are. You knew we were real, and we want to take you away." But you have to go right now. They can promise you that you're never going to age, right? And you can go off into space, but you can't say goodbye. You got to go on a spot. Would you go?
I would ask him, why would you want to take me in the first place?
Because you're you.
Yeah, but what makes me me? Why me?
Well, they already know all about you, see?
Right.
They already know all about you. That's why they picked you to go with them into outer space. Duh. So no, seriously though. I mean, so yeah, that's a good question though. Why me?
Yeah, why me? I would be asking me, well, why me?
You? Why not you? Do you not fairly represent our species?
I didn't know I did. I'd be
any better or worse than anyone else can, right?
Right. I think I would engage in a debate with them on this. It's like, well, why me? So, I would just start bantering with them and just engaging in this debate. I think it'd be kind of fun.
I would totally have to ask them if they had potato chips. And if they had potato chips, I'd go. If they didn't, I'm out. That's it. No.
Well, I would even ask the questions like, okay, so what would I be doing for you? How would I help you? I mean, you want me for something, so you want me of service of some kind. What is it that you want? How could I be of service? That's what I would ask.
Yeah, Deep Ashtray has the classic sci-fi point.
What was for the zoo? Hey, I can be entertaining. You just have to do it. You just have to ask nicely.
Yeah. The very first episode of Star Trek, basically, they want to capture humans to be part of their zoo. And there's also an episode of the Orville that's the same as that, where they're sort of trapped in a zoo. It's a pretty tried and tested possibility, I suppose, because
right.
You think about outer space, and if not, obviously there is other life forms out there. How intelligent they are is open to anybody's guess, of course.
True.
But the point is, if they're sufficiently advanced past us, they might look at us the same way that we look at bugs.
That's true.
So
that's very true.
So yeah, and which is not kind of cool. I mean, how often do you think about swatting a fly, right? I mean, you don't.
Right.
Do you feel guilty about it? I try not to do it, but flies are one of the only things I'll actually kill, even though they're not biting or drinking my blood. Most of the time, I'll only kill something if it's trying to eat me, but or eat from me, more accurate.
Right.
But flies, man, especially like here. At 6 a.m. when the sun comes up in the summer, flies are like zap, zap, zap on your face. The minute the sun comes up, the flies are all over your face, and just
gee, yeah, I can see. I can see that.
Babies, okay, it's bad.
Oh, wow. see, I could see that. I could see wanting to do that too. What about spiders?
I don't really mind spiders at all, but if I find spiders in a house, I'll just put them outside.
Yeah.
It's the same as I do with most, even like wasps and stuff. Unless I can't catch it. If I can't catch it for whatever reason, this won't let me catch it, then I'll end up swatting the damn thing. But generally speaking, I throw bugs out because I think they got every right to live. You know what I mean? And it's probably not even the bug's fault that it's in my house. Usually, right? It's just left the door.
Yeah, that's just how it is. Where your atmosphere and all that stuff too, or how the thing is built.
So I wanted to ask you a bit more about your travels, Sue.
Yes.
So you've obviously been to Korea. Have you been any place else abroad?
Oh yeah, I have. I've been to Japan. I've been the Osaka, Kyoto, Nagoya area. I've been to Taiwan twice because I have a lot of my friends from university because I had a lot of international friends. I've got to visit there. I got quite a few close friends there. I'd like to go back to Taiwan actually, and go see them. I've been to Canada.
Just as an aside, while you're mentioning Taiwan, have you seen how Taiwan handled the pandemic?
Yes,
It's
as a
a
matter of
horizontal line all the way across. They had a Delta spike over the summer, but other than
mhm.
that, it's been almost nothing. And it makes me wonder what the hell they're doing that we're not doing.
I've talked to a couple of my friends there, and they've been talking about how things have really slowed. They say it gets pretty bad, but they just know how to take care of it. And I'd like to find out too. But yeah, I've heard that from my friends
Hmm.
that it's been going away. Well, in Korea for a while they were too, but
They
it's gotten
started
pretty
off good.
bad there.
They
It's
started
gotten
off good.
bad. It's
Yeah.
been pretty bad. And sometimes how I know what's going to happen here, I usually get the indicator from there when my students tell me about it.
Right, right. So besides East Asia, have you done any European traveling or any place else?
No, I've been to Canada. I've been to the Caribbean. I've been on a couple cruises down in the Caribbean.
Ooh, tell
Um,
me about that. What's a
I
cruise like? Because cruises look like a very pleasant prison to me, but I don't know.
actually they would be more like a luxury hotel on water. I would describe it as.
Yeah, but if
They're
you
not
can't leave,
bad.
it's I don't know. I
Oh,
don't know. To me, I'm not claustrophobic as such, but to me, I don't know. The hotel on the water, I don't know, man. I don't know.
there's plenty of you can walk around. You can walk around on the boat. There's like entertainment shows, and there's plenty of things to do even when
Yeah.
you're not on
So
land.
did you go to
I did
Jamaica or where?
Not Jamaica. I've been by Barbados, Martinique, St. Martin's, St. Thomas, Puerto Rico. There's a couple other ones I can't think of too, but those are the main ones. And I've also done a cruise to Alaska, which I highly recommend to try sometime. That is a gorgeous state.
Absolutely. I used to live in Juneau, and all spring and summer you got the cruise liners coming into the harbor, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the going up the inside passage, because when I drove to Alaska, you have to drive to Canada and then get on a ferry. In the last 500 miles, you
Right.
have to you have to go up on a ferry up the inside passage, and those islands with all the they're just pristine. I mean, it's like they've never been
Oh,
touched by
it's
anything. You know what I
absolutely
mean?
gorgeous, and I did it. One of the side trips I did was a lot of fun. It was like you flew in one of those like little puddle jumper planes, and you fly over the glaciers, and then you landed, and then you went down this river and like a raft down a glacial river by an bald eagle preserve, and it was the coolest thing ever. It was so much fun, and we had this really awesome tour guide. He was super fun, and it was just it was a really cool like being in nature experience with some of these other tourists that we were on with. And oh my gosh, I would go back and visit there in a heartbeat too.
Oh wow, yeah, I love Alaska. I think it might have changed an awful lot in a sense that since I lived there. I lived there in the middle of the
True,
80s,
true.
you know. But no, and the thing is, I could imagine going personally. I could imagine going on a cruise, but not in the ocean. I would like to go on like a river cruise, like maybe down the Danube or something like that, and see like all the European cities just float on down the river. You know,
My aunt did a trip one time where she did a it was like a some kind of cruise through Russia. It was like a Russian river cruise or something, and she said that was really cool. She really enjoyed it.
my gal and I were supposed to go to St. Petersburg in June of 2020, but obviously the pandemic put that to rest.
But the
You
pandemic
know,
ruined a lot. COVID
yeah.
has just
But
killed
I've
stuff.
I've never really had like a huge hankering to see very much in Russia. Don't get me wrong, but there's certain
Hmm.
architecture that is in Russia that it's kind of like a bucket list sort of thing. I mean, if you
Sure, sure.
The Kremlin is from the outside anyway, one of the most beautiful buildings I've ever seen, right? And
Right.
my gal has been there before and had a private tour, like an exclusive tour where the public normally doesn't get to see, and which she's got some amazing pictures of inside of that place. It's unbelievable. It's
Hmm.
almost to the degree of the Vatican, but not quite. And in St. Petersburg, we were going to go to the Winter Palace, which is
Oh, wow.
the most opulent palace on earth. It puts Versailles to shame, and that's saying something. But I mean,
Hmm.
it's obviously a matter of opinion. I've never been to Versailles, but you know, I've looked at lots of pictures, and I want to go. I want to go. And now there's all these travel restrictions, and the whole world is just closed now, Sue. You know, it's like
Yeah,
it,
yeah,
I
I
don't know
know,
if it's ever going to come back to normal.
yeah, because I actually still have not been to Europe, and I'd love to go. And the places I'd like to go in Europe, I'd like to go because one of my ancestry's from Germany, so like German, Austria, Switzerland, kind of in that area. So I'd like to go check it out,
Yeah.
just to see where, especially on my dad's side, there's a very strong German heritage there, and I just want to see what that's like, see the atmosphere is like, see what what it's like to be there. I'd love to go there for Oktoberfest. That would be fun to go to Germany during Oktoberfest and party down there. That would
Oh
be
my
cool.
God. Yeah, I've got friends who have done that. I had one friend who from the UK who went to Oktoberfest and she never came back. So she
I
moved.
believe it.
She really moved there. She had so much fun. Anyway, so let's just pretend that you could win the lottery again, but it's not the money lottery; it's the travel lottery. And
Mhm.
language is not an issue in terms of like. But let me put it to a different way. The pandemic is not an issue. You can go
Okay.
anywhere you want, and you have all expenses paid. Where would you go?
Ooh, boy. Would it be a place I would it be a
Where would
place
you
I
go?
haven't
I'm not making any more rules up. You can go anywhere you want. You can go anywhere you want, and all your expenses are paid.
Oh, wow. Well, I got two ways to answer this one. The first way is I'll go to Europe because I haven't been there yet. I'll go to Germany and Switzerland and those places. And probably if a place I've been to, I'd go see my friends in Asia. I'd go visit them.
That's pretty cool. And because no expenses is too much, you could stay as long as you want. How long do you reckon you'd stay?
Exactly. Oh God, not that well. If it's with my friends, probably longer. I'd probably be a couple weeks to almost a month, just depending. Especially if I didn't have to worry about money. Oh gosh, I'd
Yeah,
be there
right.
for a while.
Yeah, damn right. Who wouldn't? Right. So, ever thought about running for politics?
No, not really.
Why aren't you going to save us? What the fuck, man? Someone's
I
got to
mean,
do it. Someone's got to do
I
it. Step up.
I mean, it would be interesting to try to run, but all the bullshit that goes with it.
I'd love to run for politics, but as you can see, I'm too busy doing these interviews.
I mean, it would depend, but the thing is like I don't know. I don't know. It's something I've never really thought of actually. I
Yeah.
mean, I think it's one of those either you have to really want to do it or you just don't. It's either you do or don't kind of thing for me.
I don't know. Some people come to it later in life, like Elizabeth Warren and so on.
That's
It,
true.
it
That's
does
true.
interest me. I actually am more like inclined to want to get into politics at this age than I ever was when I was younger, which is too bad because if I ever thought when I was younger that I might have wanted to get into politics, I probably would have lived a lifestyle in such a way that I could possibly be electable. But,
Yeah, that's a good point. Key
but
point. Key point. Yeah, key point. Key point.
yeah, I've been far too corrupted and not really electable anymore. Anyway, right. Well, I think I pretty much mowed through all the questions way faster than normal, and that's because you've answered everything just like that, except for what's the
Yeah.
worst lie you've ever told? Come
Except
on,
the worst lie. Oh
come on,
boy.
come on, come
Oh
on, come
boy.
on, come on,
Yeah.
come
That one's still stuck on. That one I'm still stuck
on.
on. I serious. It's like, okay, yeah. I don't
I
know if
know.
I've
I
had
let
any
you off
worse
the hook
ones.
too easy, though. I want to make sure everybody answers the question. So
I know.
I
Ah.
know. Anyway, let me encourage you to hopefully join us for more jamborees. Right? It's really
Oh,
great to see
sure.
you. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
yeah, and I'm trying very hard to do more things on the channel, so it won't just be jamborees and these interviews.
Right.
Every once in a while, I might just want to do one-on-one chats with various different hosts about particular subjects, whatever. So don't be
Yeah.
surprised if in the near future or distant future or whatever in the future, you get a message saying, "Hey, you want to do a one-on-one and we'll talk about blah blah blah." Or Sue, if you've got an idea that you'd like to talk one-on-one on the channel, rather than making a video like we used to do, but you say, hey, let's have a chat.
Oh gosh, that would be cool.
Write me
Yeah.
a private
Yeah.
message and say, hey, Paul, would you like to have a chat? Let's just say vaping, because I know you had your vaping activism a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that's kind of waned off a little bit. What's changed now, I'll tell you what's changed now because of what I've gone through. And to catch everybody up to speed, because it's been a while for a lot of people. My mom's going through stage 4 metastatic breast cancer right now. She got
I'm sorry to hear
diagnosed.
that.
Well, here's how this happened. She was really sick for like on and off there, and after she got her second COVID shot, it's like things just kind of kicked into gear somehow. And it was around the holidays. Okay, is when she went into the hospital. But at the same time, that's when my partner and I both ended up getting COVID, so I couldn't even see her. And
My goodness, that's bad timing.
oh my God, I got double dosed. I got double, if not triple dosed. But the good news is from all that, like I got Christmas Eve is when I tested positive the first time. After New Year's, got tested positive again. So third time's the charm. Last week, finally got the negative test, thank God. And I was finally able to see my mom earlier this week. She's in another home, but she's been in and out of the hospital. But long story short, after going through what I've gone through with COVID and just the whole medical side of it and being on that side and my mom being the patient side, and plus my mom's a retired nurse and she's seeing things on her end, COVID has messed it all up. It's kind of broken the system,
Well,
you know?
the system was broken before COVID, and COVID
But it's even worse now.
has exposed the flaws in the system, something
Oh,
fierce.
even more so
The
now. But
case
just
for Medicare for all has never been more obvious, right? I mean,
right,
you know,
exactly. But that's kind of where I'm taking it now. And what I want to do now is start using my platform to use that voice to say, hey, the one thing where everybody's talking about the physical thing, but they're not talking about the mental thing because you have to be in isolation. You can't be around people. You can't do a lot of things. And
mhm,
that sucks. That sucks because you can't do the things you want to do. You can't do the things you have to do. And
right.
then until you're out of it, you're just sort of like stuck in a strange limbo. I don't know how else to describe it. And so I want to tell that story like this is what you go through. And it's got and the messages and the whole, well, you get tested after this day, or if you have this whole confusion with, well, if you're this kind of patient, you got to follow this rule. And it's like, just make it all one, just make it straight across the board for everyone. Then we won't be confused. Because when I first got a diagnosis, they said, look at the CDC stuff. I swear to God, my eyes went cross-eyed. It's like I couldn't handle it. I'm like, what the hell is this?
Well, if your mom is stage 4, that doesn't bode well. I mean, is it terminal, or does she have a
It's
chance of
treatable.
it's
It's
treatable?
actually
Good.
treatable. She's already had radiation on one tumor that she had in her back. And when she first got into the hospital, she was really bad off because she discovered because she also had breathing issues too. Well, she discovered she had water in her lung that was taken out. At one point, she had a collapsed lung, but that since is inflated. I mean, she's gone through a lot. Okay.
Right.
But
Wow.
it is treatable. She's going back to the same cancer doctor that she had before because she was at stage 1 like 8 years ago. And she thought, oh, she was good and all that. And then something kicked last year.
Wow.
And yeah, but she's coming back. She's got a very sharp mind because when she was first in there and she'd be calling me, oh my gosh, the depression kicks in. She has that once in a while. But she's coming back now that I can go see her and help out and help the family out. That's things are starting to come into place there. So that's taking a burden off my dad, who's had to deal with a lot of this stuff, and he's been
Sure.
like burnt
Do your
out and
parents live
everything.
distant from you?
No, we're pretty close.
Oh,
So
good.
that's the good thing. I can go there whenever I need to. I can with my schedule and everything now, I can go see him. And yeah, everything's really close, which is really nice.
Yeah, I have the opposite at the moment with my life. I live in a very nice place and I don't regret it. Don't get me wrong. I live in a beautiful place,
Mhm.
but my parents are 1,500 miles that way and my kids are 4,500 miles that way. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
my grandkids are 1,000 miles that way. So it's always traveling when I want to see my people,
Right, right.
hopefully my people will come to see me, but you never know. You
Yeah,
never know.
but I thought I'd bring that up because I'm into that, going through the whole medical thing and what my mom's going through with her sickness and not being non-COVID, but you still have to. She's put in a different category because apart from the COVID patients. I mean, it's insane. It's
Yeah.
the insanity is real. It's like the way I look at this, if you're lucky to be negative and not get COVID, you should definitely buy a lottery ticket. That's how I feel. It's like you're gonna be damn lucky.
Well, I mean, I can't remember if it was Stephen Colbert or Bill Maher that said the other day, you know, if you, no, I think it was Bill Maher. He said, if you've managed to make it through 2 years of pandemic and you haven't got ill, congratulations, and also you have no friends,
Yeah,
because
that's about right. That's about
because
right.
because like I mean, I have to say that you know, I got COVID in August, and
Oh.
I had I went for I think it wasn't until maybe May or June before someone I knew had COVID. And that was a
Mm.
distant relative cousin of mine who I hadn't seen for 25 or 30 years. And he got diagnosed on Sunday positive and died on a Thursday. Boom.
Oh shit.
So, you
Wow.
know, when some people get COVID, it hits them super hard, super fast. And that's why when I had my COVID, like I've never been that kind of ill before because I didn't feel terribly sick, but
Right.
I was fatigued as fuck and my temperature was
Yes.
up and down like a seesaw. And
Right.
so
Right.
like when it was on the upward swing, I'm like, oh, is this it? Is it about to hit me like a tidal wave? You know, am I about to die? And I had this major existential fucking crisis and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Which actually served me good. You know, it helps you when you're not sure if you're going to survive or not. It helps you sort your thinking out a lot.
Oh, it changes it. I'll tell you what, to go along with it, it does change your thinking. I mean, because what I had to do with everything going on, I literally had to take like a huge step back and go, okay, it's major self-care time. Let's slow the roll. Let's slow things down. Let's see what's going on here, you know? And I'm in that slow rebuilding process, but same. That's one of the things. I had the fatigue, but what I had was more of a milder case. It basically felt like the sinus infection from hell
Right.
because it got so bad. My jawline, like right here, was so bad. I felt like I had these nasty cavities that there was some there, but it just kind of like exploded a little bit.
Right. Right. Yeah.
But
That
and I
does
did
not
listen.
sound fun.
Oh, at one point, like when I first got it, when it first hit me, I this one day I was teaching, I had this weird brain fog. Like I was doing these weird things. I wasn't thinking straight. As soon as I'm done with my shift, I'm like, what the hell was that? Next day I lose my smell and I'm like, oh shit, I know what this is. So I
Right.
did lose my smell for a while. Fine, I got that one back. I mean, it's and it hits people differently. That's the weird thing. My partner had
Right.
more of the congestion, cough, you know, all that stuff, where I had more of the other stuff. So
Yeah.
it's really weird how it hits people.
It hits everyone differently. Joe's mom had COVID in 2020, I think, for like 3 months straight.
Some
And
people have that, yeah.
that's gotta be nerve-wracking. You know what I mean?
That's oh
For the
gosh.
person going through it as well, but obviously for the family as well, because you just don't know from day to day. Is it worse or is it better? Is it getting better? Is it ever gonna get better?
And
I mean,
then what's the testing part is what's really confusing because they say, oh, you can do the rapid test, but then people say, then you hear the message, oh no, the rapid test isn't reliable. They take the PCR test and back and forth and back and forth. I just stuck with the PCR test and I just went through CVS, went through one store for a couple minutes, then the last place I went to a different store for testing, and that was okay. It worked out.
right. Yeah. Well, anyway, getting back to what I was saying, which got us onto this, if there's ever a time that you want to do a
Mhm.
Breakfast Club video and talk about a particular subject, but you want someone to talk to about it, I'm your guy. All right.
Cool, yeah. I
Yeah,
think
that's
that'd be
cool.
cool. I'd be up for that.
Yeah,
Sure.
you can private message me anytime. You know, I'm mostly retired, so my schedule's pretty flexible.
Okay.
But I do travel a lot, so that's the thing. So advance notice is always preferable, but you know, who
Sure,
knows? You know, like
sure.
I
I
say,
get that.
if you ever want to do an emergency stop, you know, just let me know. Who knows?
Mhm.
You know, I
Yeah.
just want to do more than the jamborees on the channel. That's all. You know,
Yeah,
but
I get that. That's a good idea.
I also know that trying to get people to do a video once a week is like herding cats. It's almost impossible. So I'm not inclined to revive that aspect of the channel. I'm inclined to try new things, you know, and see where we can go with this.
Sure.
So anyway, I'm glad
Yeah,
to have you back on the
absolutely.
screen with me, and I hope to see you in a jamboree at some point soon. So say goodbye to
Yep,
everybody in the
definitely.
comment section, and I will
Yeah, bye everyone.
thank everybody for joining us, and we'll see you on Wednesday, hopefully, for our interview with Bionic Dance. I've also got Sword Sage coming up for an interview on Friday this week. And then I've got Brian
Ooh.
J on Sunday. And then I've got American Wayne on Sunday as well. So it's going to be a busy week for me. Anyway,
Oh,
thanks
nice.
again, Sue.